Commentator, Collapse of Chinese Moral Values and Post-Totalitarianism. The rise of refined egoism and cynicism in China. Dongling Group's bankruptcy shocks many. Experts warn of economic impact in China. Moody's downgrades Chinese real estate Vanke to junk status. Nearly 80,000 AI companies disappear in China after ChatGPT launch. Former Guizhou party secretary, on trial for 813 million yuan bribery, previously persecuted Falun Gong. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Commentator, Collapse of Chinese Moral Values and Post-Totalitarianism. Recently, a surge of news stories in China has shaken the core beliefs of many. In just 1 month, there have been alarming reports: oil tankers filled with kerosene, funeral homes reselling bodies, live organ harvesting, and charity heads demanding sexual favors from mothers in exchange for financial aid. Commentator and influential self-media personality, Toronto Big Face, addressed these concerns on his YouTube program, stating that this alarming trend underscores a deep moral crisis in China, turning the nation into a typical mutual harm society. According to him, when compared to the world's leading nations, China's technological advancements might score a modest 60 points, but its moral standards lag far behind, potentially scoring as low as 30 points or even lower. Interactions within Chinese society now require constant vigilance, whether it's avoiding being overcharged at tourist sites, ensuring fair transactions in markets, or preventing taxi drivers from taking unnecessary detours. Among overseas Chinese communities, there's even a saying that advises against close interactions with fellow Chinese to avoid betrayal, summarized by the phrase, "When fellow villagers meet, they stab each other in the back." Whether one supports the Communist Party or not, the issue of declining moral standards in China cannot be ignored. Some blame this moral decline on Confucian culture and economic hardship. However, in countries with similar economic conditions, such as Thailand and Mexico, there isn't the same widespread exploitation. Even in Taiwan, which shares Confucian cultural roots, such issues are not prevalent, and the majority of Taiwanese people are known for their friendliness. So, how did the moral values of Chinese society reach such a low point? Before the collapse of the Soviet Union, Eastern European countries under Soviet influence also experienced significant moral decay. Václav Havel, the first president of the Czech Republic, addressed this issue in his book The Power of the Powerless, attributing the moral decline to post-totalitarianism in former communist states. Many of the cases he discussed are strikingly relevant to China today. To begin with, what exactly is post-totalitarianism? In political science, systems are broadly categorized into 3 types: democracy, authoritarianism, and totalitarianism. Democracy, like in the United States, is straightforward to understand. However, dictatorial regimes fall into 2 types, authoritarianism and totalitarianism, distinguished by the extent of control. Authoritarian regimes, like Taiwan under Chiang Kai-shek and South Korea under Park Chung-hee, focus on political control with minimal economic interference. In contrast, totalitarian regimes, such as Nazi Germany in the former Soviet Union, extend control over all aspects of society, including the economy and culture, driven by a distinct political ideology. Totalitarian societies, therefore, rest on 2 main pillars: ideological control and comprehensive administrative control. The Chinese Communist Party exemplifies a totalitarian society, aiming to control every aspect of life. So, what defines a post-totalitarian society? According to Václav Havel, a post-totalitarian society emerges when the core ideology of a totalitarian regime collapses, yet the government continues to operate under a totalitarian framework. In essence, when the ideological pillar of a totalitarian society falls, the society transitions into a post-totalitarian state. Modern China, with its distinct features, represents a typical post-totalitarian society. When a society enters the post-totalitarian phase, its entire value system inevitably collapses. Havel noted that in the final days of Czechoslovakia's totalitarian regime, a fruit shop owner might display a sign reading "Workers of the world, unite." But did the shop owner actually believe in this slogan? The reality is, he did not. Similarly, in China today, Xi Jinping's slogans are visible everywhere, but does anyone genuinely believe in what they say? The answer is likely no. The reality in China today is that there is no authentic value system in society. No one truly believes in communist ideology or Xi Jinping thought. In both China and the late stages of other communist countries like the Soviet Union, there is a stark contrast between propaganda and reality. For example, while the CCP promotes the idea that officials are servants of the people, in reality, these officials view themselves as superior to the people. The rise of refined egoism and cynicism in China. According to Toronto Big Face, China's current values have been shaped by a post-totalitarian regime where the ruling power, while no longer believing in its own propaganda, continues to enforce it. As a result, a distorted value system has emerged among the Chinese people. In today's China, power is rooted in military force, leading to a society driven by social Darwinism, where might makes right. The focus has shifted from collective national interests to individual gain. The CCP promotes collectivism and sacrifice for the nation, but in reality, there's no clear way for individuals to contribute meaningfully to the country. Instead, egoism, cynicism, and fear have become the survival norms, eroding the moral fabric of society. This atmosphere makes morality irrelevant, as people live solely for personal interests. Actions driven by dreams or ideals are often met with skepticism. This explains why figures like Sima Nan, who publicly criticize the West while privately seeking to emigrate, exist. How can a refined egoist truly love the collective nation? In this post-totalitarian society, the fear of state power fosters further cynicism. Displaying CCP leadership slogans is not a sign of patriotism but a response to fear, a submission to the regime's iron fist. China's civil service exams have become a test of this submission, requiring candidates to write insincere essays praising the party, demonstrating their willingness to conform rather than their true beliefs. Of course, many more people, driven by the fear instilled by this iron fist, proactively go on the offensive online. They actively engage in pro-communist party rhetoric, essentially becoming unpaid 50-centers, eager to demonstrate their respect and submission to authority. They hope that by showcasing their loyalty, they can escape the regime's crackdown. In reality, their efforts are futile. Moreover, while many individuals might manage to hold on to their basic principles and refrain from actively kowtowing to those in power, they lack the courage to confront authority directly. This, in turn, fosters an environment where cynicism thrives. Despite the relevance of politics to everyone, under the overwhelming power of the state, many choose self-censorship. They engage in discussions about the U.S. presidential election, which is distant from their daily lives, but avoid talking about domestic politics, believing it's too disconnected from their reality. Some have completely lost the will to resist, dismissing others' efforts with statements like, "You'll never overthrow the Communist Party, so don't even try, there's no hope for the Chinese people." This attitude reflects a deep-seated fear of public authority and a cynicism born from repression. In contrast, Taiwan has been fortunate. Even during Chiang Kai-shek's dictatorship, the concept of universal values was not denied, allowing Taiwan to consistently adhere to constitutional democracy and universal values from its inception to the present. So, have the Chinese people lost hope? What can be done to restore their moral values? Toronto Big Face believes the key lies in rebuilding a core ideology based on democracy and universal values. He argues that this is the only way for the Chinese people to overcome their moral crisis, and that everyone in China must play a part in this crucial effort. Kunshan's manufacturing decline leaves youth jobless and starving. China's manufacturing sector is experiencing a significant decline, leaving many young people jobless and stranded in Zhonghua Park in Kunshan City, Suzhou, Jiangsu Province. Recently, a video surfaced showing that on the night of August 13th, a young man tragically died on the streets of Zhonghua Park in Kunshan after prolonged hunger. The video depicts a young man with a bare torso, curled up in a corner, hugging his knees. His emaciated body is motionless, with his feet already blackened and swollen. There are no belongings around him, except for a white plastic bag. A medical worker holding a notebook stands beside the young man, while another medical worker, crouching on the ground, closes an emergency box and walks away. Nearby, a stretcher covered with a blue cloth is visible. While some netizens believe the video does not definitively prove the young man's death, others are certain he has died, possibly due to a combination of injuries and starvation. On Platform X, numerous netizens condemn the Chinese Communist Party for the tragedy, questioning, in an era of food abundance, how can someone still starve to death? What kind of society is this? Others warned, there will only be more and more people starving to death in the future. Kunshan City, once a thriving manufacturing hub, has seen a steep decline in recent years, with many factories closing or downsizing. As a result, many young people who came to Kunshan seeking work have found themselves unable to secure jobs or earn money, leaving them stranded in the area. Zhonghua Park has become a gathering place for a large number of unemployed youth, many of whom, unable to afford rent, are forced to sleep there. In June, a video was posted online revealing that a man starved to death in Unit 2 of Building 19 in the Shitsuan area of Zhonghua Park. The video shows officials carrying an emaciated young man out from the building entrance on a stretcher. After the video spread, Kunshan's official media quickly moved to debunk it, claiming it was a rumor. In April of last year, another video surfaced showing a man fainting from hunger in a greenbelt on the streets of Kunshan. Local netizens responded, revealing that several people have already starved to death in Suzhou. Dongling Group's bankruptcy shocks many, experts warn of economic impact in China. The sudden bankruptcy of Dongling Group has surprised many, as the company's last public update on its official WeChat account was in February. Just last September, Dongling celebrated its 19th consecutive year on the China Top 500 Enterprises list, boasting a revenue of 125.7 billion yuan, about $17.77 billion. The group's leader, Li Heiji, once the richest man in Shaanxi, now faces intense public scrutiny. Shaanxi blogger Mu Jiotong recently commented, Dongling Group, the largest private enterprise in Shaanxi, has declared bankruptcy and reorganization, marking a regrettable chapter for the land of Sanqin. The downfall came too quickly. Without Li Heiji's bold vision, the villagers wouldn't have dared to strive. Over the decades, Dongling Group has donated over 300 million yuan, about $41.9 million, to charity, giving back nearly 10 million yuan, about $1.4 million, annually. However, in the post-pandemic era, Dongling's debt snowballed, leading to its eventual collapse. Meanwhile, blogger Lang Kangxi Jia highlighted that while Li Heiji transformed a near-bankrupt village-run enterprise into a sprawling business empire, hidden undercurrents of financial instability plagued Dongling Group's former glory. Reports indicate that Dongling's assets, valued at over 2.5 billion yuan, about $350 million, have been frozen. A court in Xi'an also ordered the freezing of 220 million yuan, about $30.7 million, in assets belonging to Dongling and its major shareholders, escalating the financial troubles into a full-blown crisis. According to the China Times, economist and finance expert Yu Fenghui attributes Dongling Group's bankruptcy to overexpansion, market changes, and poor management. During favorable market conditions, Dongling adopted an aggressive strategy, heavily borrowing to expand, which led to a high debt ratio. As the economic environment shifted, steel industry demand decreased, prices fell, and financial pressures intensified. Internal issues, such as decision-making errors and a broken capital chain, ultimately pushed Dongling into financial distress. Yu Fenghui also said that Dongling Group's bankruptcy could impact the local and national economies, particularly affecting the upstream and downstream industrial chains. Furthermore, 18,000 employees face the risk of unemployment, and the financial market may experience fluctuations, affecting related financial institutions and investors. This event serves as a cautionary tale for other enterprises to focus on risk management and financial stability. Bai Wenxi, vice chairman of the China Enterprise Capital Alliance, added that Dongling Group's bankruptcy could severely damage its brand image and market reputation, further complicating any recovery efforts. Moody's downgrades Chinese real estate Vanke to junk status. Moody's, the international rating agency, has downgraded Chinese real estate giant Vanke's debt rating from Ba3 to B1, officially placing it in junk status. The outlook remains negative, signaling Vanke's increasing vulnerability amid China's deepening real estate slump. Announced on August 13, the downgrade highlights Vanke's financial struggles, including declining sales, pressured profit margins, growing cash flow problems, and weakened market performance. The company, a state-owned enterprise, has been in a debt crisis since October last year and faces even greater challenges in 2024. Vanke's financial woes are exacerbated by a sharp drop in the profitability of its real estate projects, asset impairments, and losses from non-core investments. The company expects to report a net loss of between 7 billion to 9 billion yuan, about $980 million to $1.26 billion, for the first half of the year, a dramatic decline of up to 191% compared to the same period last year. In July, Vanke's sales dropped 13% year-on-year to 19.2 billion yuan, about $2.68 billion. Projections for 2025 and 2026 indicate that contract sales could plummet by 30% and 20%, respectively, as the broader Chinese real estate market continues to decline. Vanke has resorted to offering discounts, which may further erode its profit margins. This downgrade follows similar actions by S&P and Fitch, both of which also lowered Vanke's rating to junk status. Vanke's situation highlights the severity of the downturn in China's real estate sector, affecting even state-owned enterprises. According to a Nomura report on August 1, the Chinese real estate industry has not yet hit bottom, with the crisis expected to persist despite some signs of recovery. Nearly 80,000 AI companies disappear in China after ChatGPT launch. Over 600 days after OpenAI launched ChatGPT, nearly 80,000 AI companies in China have been established, only to be shut down or have their registrations revoked. This trend signals a stark cooling in investment fervor, with a TMT Post report from August 13 highlighting the disappearance of 78,612 newly registered AI companies between ChatGPT's debut on November 30, 2022, and July 29 of this year. This marks 8.9% of the 878,000 AI-related firms registered during the same period, demonstrating significant industry attrition. The analysis by TMT Post also found that over the past 3 years, more than 200,000 AI companies have been dissolved, and a decade-long overview reveals that 3.53 million AI enterprises have vanished, affected by a range of factors including cancellation, revocation, liquidation, business suspension, delisting, and forced closure. Despite this, the year 2023 has already seen the registration of 300,700 new AI-related companies. Currently, there are 1.8043 million AI-related companies operational in China. Of these, more than 4,500 are part of the officially recognized AI industry system, with over 180 generative AI service models having been launched and made available to the public. Despite the initial surge in registrations, the challenges of high operational costs without profits, coupled with a downturn in venture capital, have contributed to the cooling of investments in the AI sector. The State of AI report by research firm CB Insights noted a significant reduction in investment activities in 2023, with approximately 232 investment and financing deals, a 38% year-on-year decrease, and a total financing amount of around $2 billion, marking a 70% drop from the previous year. Wang Xiaochuan, the founder of Sogu, previously stated that the future of China's domestic AI large model market will be a knockout race, with the final first tier likely consisting of no more than 5 companies. Former Guizhou party secretary, on trial for 813 million yuan bribery, previously persecuted Falun Gong. Sun Jigang, 70 years old, former secretary of the Guizhou Provincial Committee and current deputy director of the National People's Congress, NPC, Financial and Economic Affairs Committee, has been accused of amassing a total of 813 million yuan, about $113.6 million USD, through corruption. Sun Jigang was arrested earlier this year, in February. The charges allege that he exploited his official position to directly or indirectly accept bribes, involving project approvals, stock purchases, construction contracts, and real estate development. The case recently went to trial. In court, Sun Jigang pleaded guilty to the charges. According to Minghui.org, in the early stages of the persecution of Falun Gong that began in 1999, Sun Jigang, then serving as secretary of the Yichang Municipal Committee in Hubei Province, initiated the persecution of local Falun Gong practitioners. In 2000, he led meetings that outlined strategies for the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners. Sun Jigang is accused of being responsible for the illegal detention and extortion of Falun Gong practitioners who traveled to Beijing to appeal, with fines imposed amounting to thousands of yuan in each case. He is also held accountable for the illegal abductions, home raids, and sentencing of several Falun Gong practitioners. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.